Tonight's big stories. The Rafah border between Gaza and Egypt finally opens to foreign passport holders who have been camping out for weeks in hopes of leaving the war-torn territory. We'll be speaking with Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega on the status of Filipinos awaiting exit.
The social weather stations registers a slight increase in Filipino families who rate themselves as poor in third quarter of the year.
And later in the show, we'll speak to an Embalmer-cum social media influencer who will share with us some spooky stories from the morgue and a paranormal expert who will try to explain some paranormal sightings in Malacañang as experienced by the president himself.
Welcome to the show. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Denise Tan.
And I'm Riza Diaz.
Scores of foreign passport holders have now been allowed to cross the Rafah border into Egypt, weeks after the fighting erupted between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas. Hundreds have gathered at the Rafah border in recent weeks, eager to exit the Gaza Strip. Now today, gates opened to allow people into Egypt for the very first time since the war started on October 7th. It's not yet clear just how many people have been allowed to leave Gaza through the border, but footage from the scene showed crowds of people entering, as well as ambulances passing through.
Okay, so what we do know is that they are prioritizing foreign passport holders. That also includes some Palestinians holding dual citizenships. But as to the number, that we don't know yet. There are some estimates that about 400 foreigners and dual nationals will be allowed to cross. Members of international organizations, including UN bodies, are also being prioritized, as well as, of course, those severely sick and injured.
And here's some more good news. Hamas said it will release more hostages in the coming days. The armed group stated in a video that it will release a number of foreign captives soon. No details yet on how many and which nationalities will be released. This latest pronouncement from Hamas came after they released a video of Israeli hostages calling on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to a prisoner swap.
And here to talk to us tonight about this development, we have DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega. Good evening, Usec. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, magandang gabi.
First of all, napakagandang balita po nito. Meron na po nga makakatawid ng Rafah border. And among those allowed on the initial list are two Filipinos, I believe, who are part of Doctors Without Borders. First off, have you spoken to them? Do they intend to come home? And when will this crossing happen?
Possibly by now they've crossed. They are first starting with members of international organizations, including those two doctors from Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders will be in charge of them because they'll be given new assignments in other countries. They're not coming home, but they are in contact with their families. Our embassy is in touch with them, and they say they are in contact with their families in the Philippines. So importante, they're okay. So they are the first two Filipinos, but they're not under the repatriation program of the Philippines. Ang nangyari po, inuna talaga yung international organization. So, and they're listed. So they have crossed or will cross.
Okay, Usec, just to update the list, no, yung dalawa po, kasama po ba yan dun sa 57 Filipinos at the border? And can you update us with the numbers? 49 unreachable the last time that we talked to you, just, to put everything into context again.
Yeah, okay. I will start with some not very positive news and then I'll end with positive news. The not positive news is to clarify, yes, foreign passport holders will be allowed, but they are still selecting which ones, or it will not be right away. So we are engaging with Israelis and Egyptians to prioritize Filipino nationals. After all, we are friends of both countries, no? And there are how many Filipinos? There are 136 Filipino nationals in Gaza. As of a few days ago, we were only able to be in touch with a number of them, and as many as 49 were not in touch with us because of the telecommunications blackout last Friday. But the good news, which I received just about an hour ago from our ambassador in Amman, Ambassador Wilfredo Santos, the 136 Filipino nationals in Gaza, all of them are accounted for because of the communications have returned. So, as of yesterday, may 10 pa na hindi pa na-contact, pero ngayon na-contact namin sila. 136. And they're accounted for, they're not injured. The other good news is this. You mentioned the Rafah crossing. No, the doctors are not included among the 57 who are there. But now they've been added. No, there are 63 ready to cross anytime. Because if you remember, there were 6 Filipino nationals, part of a family, who were waiting in the southern border to cross, and they couldn't wait anymore, and they returned to Gaza City, which we advised against. Very dangerous, right? That is where the that's where the Israeli actions are being undertaken. The 6 of them are now also in the Rafah crossing, just awaiting to cross. So there's 63 of them, which means that there's still quite a few who are around the southern areas of Gaza, away from the actual combat, if you call it that, or violence, or Israeli attacks on Hamas. But not all have yet indicated that they are ready to cross at the moment's time, but it could change. So right now, 63, and we're hoping that if not by the end of the day or tomorrow, certainly we hope by the weekend they'll start crossing.
Usec, you mentioned 63 Filipinos waiting to cross in the Rafah border. What are the guidelines being given to the Filipinos waiting there? And I also understand there are some Filipinos, mga ilan-ilan po, that are insisting to remain in Gaza. What are the guidelines given to them as well?
The first guideline of Filipinos is that they should be lumped together. Kasi ang mangyayari dyan, it is possible that at the Rafah crossing, they'll be calling all nationals of this country, or this country, or this country. So they should all be together. That's the guideline. No? They should all be together. Of course, they don't necessarily know each other, but they should all be in one place. Again, naman, Filipinos are good at that, in lining up together. And be ready at any given notice. They have the advantage of the fact that they are assisting each other and are in touch with our embassy. Now, and be ready at any moment. Again, possibly it will not be today because they will be prioritizing a certain kind of evacuee muna, yung mga injured, sickly, and wounded, but it could be as early as tomorrow, or certainly by the weekend. So we are making a presentation to Israel. The other guideline is for those who want to remain. Yung tulad sinabi nyo, we're asking them to please reconsider, because usually the only reason that they want to remain is because they don't want to leave their Palestinian relatives. Well, we're under mandatory repatriation, mandatory evacuation, alert level 4. They have to make that decision. After all, they could always go back to Gaza in the future when hopefully the situation should have normalized. So we're saying that, we're telling them that please reconsider. It is possible once the border opens that suddenly they'll start coming to the crossing, no more than 63. So sana ganun po. And there are 3 who are still in Gaza City. 3 who have insisted they will remain in Gaza City, including one Filipino nun of the Missionaries of Charity, and we honor them. We pray for her. She's asking for prayers. They are not injured, but of course, the situation in Gaza City is not at all ideal. So perhaps eventually they could also choose to be repatriated.
Right. On that note, Usec, there are indications. Would you say that we may have to evacuate more Filipinos from the area in case you're saying that the conflict worsens or extends in duration?
Well, in Gaza, we have to evacuate at most 136. So if you mean the other areas, yes. For example, there is the West Bank, which is the other part of the state of Palestine. The West, of course, the Gaza Strip is between Egypt and Israel. The West Bank, which is not connected to the Gaza Strip, but is also part of the Palestine, or the state of Palestine, is between Israel and Jordan. And there are about 125 or 126 Filipino nationals there. of whom only 4 have indicated their desire to go home. But they are also being told to be ready because we have a repatriation program ready. And this time it won't be complicated. They won't have to go through Israel necessarily. I mean, instead, they will go through Jordan. Unlike the Filipinos in Gaza who have to pass through Egypt, which is a complicated feature, no? Because both Israel and Egypt are controlling that access, no? Then there is a situation in Lebanon. We are under mandatory, voluntary repatriation, level 3. They are aware of it, 70,000 Filipinos. So far, the situation has not escalated to the north of Lebanon. There are skirmishes. There's always skirmishes between Israel and Hezbollah militants in the south of Lebanon. However, there are already more than 100 Filipinos who have signed up to be repatriated from Lebanon to the Philippines, and they'll be coming home in batches.
Usec, I've been seeing in reports that there are also undocumented workers, 10,000, I believe. Can you tell us more about that, and what are the guidelines for those undocumented workers for repatriation?
Well, what our embassy is doing is getting their Lebanese permits to leave. It's always difficult when you're undocumented to leave some of those countries because it's not just a matter of leaving or paying immigration penalty like in the case of the Philippines, no? But there it's a little more complicated, so that's what's taking some time. The guidelines, though, are that we're telling them now we still have a repatriation program. It's still possible to leave via commercial flights. And by the way, there are a handful, about 6 who are arriving this Friday, the first batch from Lebanon. 6 arriving early Friday to the Philippines via commercial flights paid for by the government. So while it's still possible right now, take advantage. And the problem is they are saying they might not be able to return to Lebanon if they leave.
Usec, on a final note, I believe what's happening now, the Rafah border crossing is a Qatari-mediated deal. Can you give us an idea on how complicated the negotiations are? I mean, we want to bump up the Filipinos up the list. How difficult will that be for the Philippine government to do? And just an idea. Give us an idea of how negotiations are going on.
If I gave details, then we might be actually harming our kababayans, no? Because these things have to be kept secret. I will say we're talking to all governments, and right now, especially the Israelis and the Egyptians, the Qataris, of course, will be involved in the release of hostages. There are believed to be 2 Filipino hostages, although it's not 100% confirmed. So it is complicated, but the Philippines is a friend to all. So we hope, and we are highly regarded in the region, both by the Arabs and the Israelis.
Oh, we do appreciate all the good news that you have for us tonight. Thank you for speaking with us, DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega.
Now, here's a question. Do you feel that whatever you do or how hard you work, your income is just not enough? Well, an SWS survey shows that almost half of Filipino families feel poor. The survey conducted from September 23 to October 1 found that 48% of Filipinos feel poor or mahirap. 27% says they are borderline or within the line dividing poor and not poor, while 22% said their families are not poor. The families who consider themselves poor in September are estimated to be at 13.2 million. That's 3% points higher from the 12.5 million of self-rated poor families back in June. And SWS noted, though, that the 3-point increase was due to increases in self-rated poverty in all areas, especially in Mindanao, combined with a decline in areas in Luzon outside of Metro Manila. Now, the same survey also found that 6.6% or 1.8 million families were newly poor, which means they were not poor 1 to 4 years ago.
Now, visitors continue to trickle in at the Loyola Memorial Park in Marikina as they visit their departed loved ones during this undas. Let's get the situation on the ground from Shaila Francisco. Shaila, how's the situation over there?
Denise, is generally quiet here in Loyola Memorial Park, not as busy compared to earlier. As of 7 p.m., the management has recorded 11,500 visitors inside the cemetery. Now, most of them have brought their tents because of the unpredictable weather, while others are planning to spend the night here. That's why even as late as now, there are still vendors here trying to maximize their sales. Denise?
Shaila, yung dami ng tao na nakikita mo dyan, the numbers during this year's undas, do you think we are close to the pre-pandemic numbers?
Denise, as far as the management is concerned, it is highly unlikely. Last year alone, in November 1, they recorded up to 30,000 visitors, but they are doubtful that it will even reach that level. For one, some have visited earlier because of the long weekend. Some have chosen to go to the province instead for the barangay and SK elections and to spend their vacation there. Weather is also a factor. Some businesses are saying that some visitors might visit tomorrow during the holiday, since it is a holiday tomorrow, and they are just trying to wait for a good weather to visit here. Denise?
Aside from visiting their loved ones, alam natin ang Loyola Memorial is where several celebrities were buried. Bumisita din ba yung mga fans nila?
Tama ka dyan, no? Earlier, we saw several visitors who went to the tombs of famous personalities. Loyola Memorial Park is the final resting place of some notable personalities, including former Senator Miriam Santiago, former actresses Julie Vega, Nida Blanca, and master rapper Francis Magalona. Earlier, we saw some visitors who went to Francis Magalona's tomb. They were trying to hang out there, sing along with his songs. And just this year, some of the notable personalities were finally laid to rest here, including former journalists Mike Enriquez and Mario Dumawal, and also former Marikina Mayor Bayani Fernando. We saw some people taking selfies in their tombs and offering a little prayer.
Shala, may mga reminders ba? Are there any reminders from Loyola Memorial officials for those that are planning to go there perhaps later tonight or tomorrow, November 2? Because we know that some cemeteries decided not to allow the tradition of spending, overnight or the whole night there. Would you know why?
Riza, we can speak for the other cemeteries, but here in Loyola Memorial Park, they are allowing visitors to spend the night here. Now, as for the reminders, the management is reminding the visitors not to bring matches and lighters. It is not allowed here inside the Loyola Cemetery because, for one, they want to prevent fire-related incidents, and also they are discouraging smoking, which is banned in the whole city. Now, there are caretakers roaming around where they can ask the caretakers to light their candles. Riza?
Well, thank you very much. Again, that was Shaila Francisco reporting live from the Loyola Memorial Park.
Up next, have you heard about Morgue on social media? Well, stick around because we'll be chatting with him about his hair-raising experiences from the morgue. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. We've all heard about scary stories in hospitals and cemeteries, but one that's not quite as popular, but definitely plenty to tell, are the morgues and funeral parlors. That's why one embalmer has been sharing his story online and has been making rounds on social media. Tonight, he joins us live via Zoom. We have with us on the show Ferdinand Malgapo Jr., also known as Ka Morgue. Good evening. Welcome to The Big Story.
Ay, magandang gabi po. Magandang gabi po.
Uy, sa lahat ng pwede mo i-content, bakit mo ito napili mo?
Ayun, parang ang sarap po kasi sa pakiramdam na malaman ng tao talaga kung ano yung mga ginagawang proseso talaga sa embalming.
So yun ang kumbaga parang tawag dito, yung hanap buhay po ninyo, nilagay niyo lang online kumbaga.
Yes, opo. Dahil yung embalming po at funeral o funeraria, talagang family business po namin. Yun, last year, naisipan po natin na i-share natin sa mga kababayan natin kung ano yung kaalaman naman namin tungkol sa pagbabalsamo.
Curious lang ako, Ka Morgue, nung una mong pinasok yung pagti-TikTok, yung pag-live mo, madami ba kagad yung nag-engage? Oo, kasi 'di ba usually ano yan parang finally meron ng content na hinahanap ko. May ganun ba kagad initial reaction?
Nung una po, hindi naman agad ganun karami talaga yung naging views ko eh. Nung naging curious sila about sa mga kung ano yung mga dahilan ng pagkamatay, kung may gumagalaw pang patay. Nung na-explain ko po yun, talagang biglang boom yung video. Doon po talaga dumami na yung nagtatanong po sa akin.
Ka Morgue, pasensya na hindi ko tinamaan yung pangalan mo kanina, ha? Huwag kang magalit sa akin, baka, nako. Anyway, this, I agree, is a very unique content. Alam mo yun pa, hindi ko alam kung meron kang katulad. Pero eto na, pwede mo bang i-share sa amin, ibahagi, yung mga ilan sa, kung meron man, na mga nakakapangilabot na experience bilang isang embalsamador?
Yun po, kasi po sa aming mga embalmer, kapag may nararanasan kami nakakatakot sa loob ng morgue, talagang hindi na lang namin pinapansin. Pero yung may mga pagkakataon po na, kumbaga nauunahan kami ng takot bago magbalsamo, yun po ngayon yung mga hindi namin makalimutan, tulad nung biglang mawawalan ng kuryente habang dalawa lang kami ng patay sa loob ng morgue. Yung po bang gano'n, tapos yung mga nakikwento ng pamilya kung ano yung mga na-experience nung namatay bago sila nawalan ng buhay. At ayun, nauunahan po kami ng takot dahil may mga kwento po kasi na yung matanda bago namatay, may nakatingin sa kanya sa bintana. Yung po bang gano'n, nauunahan kami ng takot. Kaya habang ginagawa namin yung patay, feeling namin, merong nakatayo sa likod namin, yung po bang gano'n. Yung parang namamalikmata po kami.
Gaano katagal mag-embalsamo ng katawan na tinitiis nyo yung takot na yun?
Depende po rin sa katawan ng patay. Kung payat, mas mabilis, 1 to 2 hours. Pagka medyo lumaki ng konti yung katawan, hanggang 3 oras po.
Meron kasi ako napapanood na pelikula tungkol dito eh. Hindi ko na malala yung titulo. Pero sige nga, bigyan mo nga kami ng experience. Kung wari, gumagawa ka ng content, pinapaliwanag mo sa amin paano mag-embalsa mo. Habang piniplay natin yung video mo, i-explain mo sa amin paano ba yung proseso.
Sige po, gawin po natin. Yun ang pinakaunang proseso po talaga na ginagawa natin sa mga nagiging pasyente natin. Inaayos natin yung mga yung mukha ng patay dahil ang kailangan natin gawin, maibalik yung talagang dating itsura niya. Kung walang ngipin, kailangan po natin lagyan ng bulak yan sa loob ng bibig para maibalik natin yung talagang itsura niya. At ayun, medyo pangingitiin din po natin siya para mas magandang tingnan. After po nun, ang gagawin naman natin, kukuhanan natin siya ng artery. Depende po yan kung sa braso or sa leeg. Kapag nakuha na po natin yung artery, doon na po natin padadaluyin yung formalin. After na makargahan po natin ng formalin yung buong katawan, doon na po natin i-aspirate or kukuhanan na natin ng dugo yung pasyente natin. After na makuhanan po ng dugo, lilinisin na lang po natin yung buong katawan, may make-up na po natin yung pasyente natin. Ganun po ang nagiging proseso sa mga binabalsamo nating patay.
Huwag siya nagkakwento, parang di naman nakakatakot.
Oo nga,
Yung passion niya eh. Makikita mo, Ka Morgue, pasintabi. Pero gusto mo itong ginagawa mo, masaya ka dito.
Sa totoo lang po talagang naging masaya ako dito, minahal ko po yung trabaho na to. Kumbaga nakita ko po na talagang nandito yung buhay ko sa pagbabalsa mo. Sa katunayan nga po talagang meron akong ginagawa ngayon. Meron kaming patay sa morgue. Ayun, kumbaga pinagpatuloy muna ng kasama ko dahil nga po may interview nga po ako ngayon.
Kamarga, tanong ko na lang, no? Kasi sabi mo nga medyo on break ka ngayon because of the interview. Pero kunyari habang nag-eembalsa ka, sabi mo umaabot ng mga hanggang 3 oras, no? Tapos
Yes, opo.
nagtitiktok ka habang ginagawa mo yun. Pag yung mga natatakot ka, yung meron kang mga hindi na-explain, katulad nung namamatay-matay yung ilaw, may napanood ako sa'yo, yung gumagalaw yung kamay habang inaambal.
Opo.
Sinasama mo ba
Opo.
yun sa TikTok mo? Importante ba sa yung isama pati yung mga moments na ganun?
Siguro po mas kailangan ding malaman ng tao 'yun. Kasi parang educational po ang nangyayari kapag ganyang nakukuhanan natin ng video. Kasi ang isipan ng tao kumbaga wala pa talagang kaalaman ng tao na may patay na gumagalaw, pero kapag po na-explain po 'yun na as educational na kumbaga natututo po yung tao, kaya talagang kinukuhanan po talaga natin lahat ng mga pangyayari.
Pag may umaray dyan.
May umaray na ba? Meron na.
Wala pa naman po. Baka mamaya pa lang.
Pero Kamorgan, meron ka ring, kumbaga ikaw, personal mo na parang, kumbaga mga ritual, bago mo syempre gawin yung trabaho mo, in respect to, again, these bodies.
Sa katunayan po, hindi dasal po ang ginagawa ko kasi hindi rin naman po namin ginagawa kasi yun. Kumbaga mindset ko lang po kapag magsisimula ako magbalsamo, kumbaga nasa isip ko lang din po ito na wag niya akong pahihirapan, basta ako bahala sa kanya, pagagandahin ko siya. Lahat ng ikaaayos ng burol niya, yun ang gagawin ko sa kanya. Yun po ay lagi kong nasa isip bago ako magsimula.
Hindi mo ba nauuwi yung mga imahe sa iyong pagtulog?
Ano naman po, parang baliwala na po sa akin yan. Kaya lang minsan may pagkakataon, napapaginipan ko yung binalsam ko, kung ano itsura nila. Yung po bang gano'n, kaya lang parang sa akin po, di naman na ako natatakot. Parang talagang memorable lang. Pero yung takot po, wala na talaga.
Kamorge, curious lang ako, no? Kasi kanina may sinabi ka about being educational, na-explain mo na nagkakaroon ng scientific explanation kung bakit gumagalaw yung mga kamay. But you also said na minsan natatakot ka. Nadi-differentiate mo pa ba yung mga moments na dapat matakot ka and yung mga moments na kaya kong gawa ng explanation to?
Nung una po kasi talagang takot ang mararamdaman mo kapag first time mo talagang na-encounter yung ganun eh.
Oh.
Dahil nung una ko pong na-encounter yung gumalaw na patay, talagang syempre isipan mo po dun sa nakahiga sa embalming table, patay yun, tapos biglang gagalaw. Pero kaya lang po ngayon, kahit na po makakita ulit ako ng ganong pagkakataon, talagang wala na po talagang takot. Kaya nung nakaraan po, na-share ko nga po sa TikTok account ko, sa mga social media, na nakuhanan ko nga po yung mismong paggalaw nung daliri nung patay. Nung time po na yun, wala nang takot, kaya ayun, nakuhanan po natin.
Kanina nag-feature kami ng mga yung paggawaan ng kabaong. Ang kwento sa amin, 6 figures daw ang kinikita doon. Sa pag-embalsa mo, malaki rin ba yung kita?
Dito po kasi sa probinsya, lalo po dito sa Nueva Ecija, ang pinakalabanan po ng sweldo ng isang embalmer per patay. Kumbaga, per head po ang labanan po dito. Hindi po rito uso yung yung monthly na merong lang talagang presyo na o halaga ng sesweldohin. Kaya kapag po kumbaga, pangit mang pakinggan, pag maraming patay, mas marami kaming pera.
Kamorge, ano naman masasabi mo? May kasabihan tayo, di ba? Ano na to, age-old saying na to, sabi nila, matakot ka sa buhay, wag sa patay.
Yes, totoo
Slogan
po
mo
yan.
na rin yun.
Totoo po yan. Kasi ang buhay talagang pwede kang gawa ng masama niya, pero yung patay, kumbaga, ginagalang po natin yan. Sa ganito pong trabaho, talagang kailangan po ng paggalang. At sa huling pagkakataon na masisilayan natin sila, kailangan maging maayos o presentable man lang na makita sila ng mga kamag-anak nila.
Pero okay din yung content, kasi kahit paano, pinapakita mo yung isang kumbaga sektor na hindi namin o takot ang marami na malaman o puntahan. Kaya sa channel mo pwede nang mapanood ng lahat ng 'yon,
Opo. Ayun, nagpapasalamat po ako sa lahat ng mga sumuporta talaga sa akin kasi sabi nga po nila kakaibang content ang ginagawa ko dahil tungkol po sa patay. At ayun, dahil din po sa content ko, sa mga ginagawa kong video, maraming kumbaga naging bukas ang isipan kung ano talaga ang ginagawa sa mga namayapa nilang kamag-anak.
Grabe, 696,000
Oo,
Akala ko may
followers.
biglang
Ano yan?
nagparamdam.
Sa YouTube, almost 79,000, no?
Dami.
Tapos almost 700,000 sa TikTok. Tama?
Opo.
Ah,
Nakakatuwa
Opo.
naman siya panoorin.
oo.
And itong parang, kumbaga, sa karamihan nakakatakot na mga, kumbaga, na sitwasyon. Sa pag ikaw ang kausap namin, parang napakagaan. Diba?
Ay, salamat po. Nagtataka nga rin po kasi minsan hindi ko naman po inaasahan na makikilala nga po ko na minsan pag may nakakasalubong ako, kumbaga natutuwa po ako na hindi nila kinatatakutan ako dahil sa trabaho ko. Minsan may malalapit na, kuya, pa-picture ako. Nakakatuwa po ba na talagang, kumbaga, na-appreciate nila yung trabaho ko at kung ano yung mga ginagawa po namin.
O, sana mag-guest ka namin minsan. Pero ikaw lang, ha? Huwag ka magsama ng iba.
Walang bitbit, ha? Walang bitbit.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Ferdinand Malgapo Jr., also known as Cap Morgue.
Ayun, maraming salamat din po.
Now, after the break, let's hear ghost stories from Malacañang as told by President Bongbong Marcos himself. We'll also get to know more about these ghosts from paranormal investigator Clyde Tasipit. Stay tuned for that.
You're still watching the big story here on One News. Now, in the spirit of Halloween, President Marcos himself shared some creepy encounters in Malacañang from when he was still a presidential son. Let's watch this.
Dito mismo, dito sa tinatawag na reception hall, nung una kaming dumating dito sa palasyo, yung mga security namin paggabi, dito natutulog at naglalatag sila dyan ng kama at dyan sila natutulog. At balitang-balita na kung minsan sa gabi ay may dumadating na ginigising sila na ang tawag nila si Father Brown. Sabi ko, bakit sino ba si Father Brown? Nung tinignan namin ang kasaysayan dito sa palasyo, meron daw talagang Father Brown na Amerikano na dati, nung panahon ng Amerikano, ay nandito nagtatrabaho. At ngayon, mukhang hindi na umalis dito sa palasyo. At pinupuntahan nga ang ating mga security natin. Paggabi, meron daw silang nararamdamang gumigising sa kanila. Nung ako'y nakatira sa isa dun sa mga guest room at ginagawa yung kwarto ko, kasama dito sa, malapit dito sa tinatawag na state dining room kung saan kami mag-cabinet meeting ngayon. Minsan, gabing-gabi na, umuwi ako, sinasara ko lang yung pintuan mula doon sa kwarto ko. Pagbukas ko ba naman ng pintuan, nakita ko biglang gumalaw yung mga buwan. Nagsisisigaw ako dito. At tumakbo ko. Sinabi ko, sinuko ko sa security. Sabi ko, may multo, may multo, may multo.
Well, let's keep this spooky train chugging. We have with us on the show paranormal investigator Clyde Tasipit. He is the founder of Paranormal All Stars. So, good evening sa'yo, Clyde. Welcome to The Big Story. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Umpisahan na natin, Clyde, no? Kanina napakita natin si President Bongbong Marcos, yung mga horror stories niya sa Malacañang. Have you been there? Ano yung nararamdaman mo? And what do you know of sino yun? Mr. Brown?
About Father Brown. Yeah, actually, Father Brown, he was there during the American time. Before he was actually the priest, or let's say the pastor during that time. Of the Americans. And also, regarding with the Malacañang, it is a really haunted place. I will admit that. I've been with tours, several tours in Malacañang, and there is a lot of creepy things that that I have encountered inside that building. Example, the paintings inside of the previous president, almost all of them is haunted.
Paintings?
Yes.
How do you say that? Anong may gumagalaw ba? What do you see in the
May
paintings?
kasamang spirito?
Oo.
On psychism, we can tell that there is a negative energy doon sa paintings. And some of those paintings have even a stain of blood. I don't know from whom or kung kaninong blood yon. It could be possible na ginamit ito to mix with the paint ng mga paintings na nandun.
What do you see when you go there?
There's a lot of people which is not supposed to be there. Meron kasi tayong mga tinatawag na mga residual hauntings. And these people, masasabi ko na sila yung mga nagtatrabaho from the past dito sa Malacañang. So, up to now, they don't want, or sabihin na natin sobrang committed nila and passionate with their job. They are still doing their job up to now.
Do you see their faces?
Yes. Tulad nga ng sinabi ni Pbbm, sabi niya nakikita niya gumagalaw yung mga chairs. So most possibly, yung mga chairs na to kaya to gumagalaw kasi inaayos nung mga dating nagtatrabaho doon.
As to Father Brown, you said way back.
Yes.
American
1940s, 1930s, something like
May
that.
posibilidad bang mapaalis pa yon or umalis?
Actually, there is always a possibility, but the question is why.
Right.
Diba? Kasi they existed before. They are living on that place before. And if they are not doing any harm, then why would
Pero
we?
paano sila napapalis? Kasi alam ko may mga pausok o minsan magtatambol ka. What does that do to the spirits?
Yung mga ganun namang klase kasi, like for example, the incenso kamanyang na ginagamit, which is usually traditional or religious, ginagamit yun to cleanse the air doon sa paligid. So from negative air, gagawin nilang positive. So after ng cleansing na yun, mawawala yung pagiging gloomy ng lugar. So that would help. And also yung mga singing bowl na ginagamit ng mga Indians or ibang belief. Ang purpose naman nun is to create a sound wave na i-distort kung ano yung frequency na meron yung mga ghost.
Clyde, si President BBM also told this story about the mess hall. Actually, dinemo pa niya. Panoorin natin.
Still find that hard to believe.
Ay, nako. It's true.
Gumalaw ba yung upuan?
If I'm not mistaken, kasi ang arrangement before sa mga nakita kong old photos ng mess hall ng Malacañang is yung chairs, if they are not being used, they are not tucked under the table, but they are leaned towards the table. So ganun yung sistema nila before. So anong nangyari daw is ang experience ni BBM, ni President, nakatayo yung upuan na yun, bumaba siya. So, from there, we can say there's a lot of possibility na pwedeng maliit na earthquake kaya bumaba siya. Or, sabihin na natin na merong gagamit ng upuan na yun, kaya tinayo ng maayos.
Oh, yung main doors and staircase, may mga nagpaparamdam din daw.
The main staircase, yes. I'm definitely 500% sure.
What is there?
Tapos nakita niyo dito sa palasyo, maraming chandelier. Pagka naririnig namin, nakikita namin na gumagalaw, sabi namin baka mukhang may lindol. Kasi pag lindol, nakikita mo gumagalaw-gaw yung mga chandelier. Pero kung minsan, maraming chandelier nga, isa lang yung gumagalaw. At hindi namin alam dahil wala namang bukas na bintana, hindi naman maabot ng tao yan. Nakakapagtaka kung bakit nagkakaganon.
So, hindi pa rin nga mapaliwanag itong case ng chandelier, katulad sa sinabi ni PBBM. If you have several chandeliers, tas isa lang yung gumagalaw, I guess that's where the hesitation, nung doubts na doon nakukuha ng mga tao. How do you explain that to somebody who's very doubtful about it?
For those who are very scientific to the approach, we would likely say na itong chandelier na to is naglulus yung screw niya. So, one twist of the screw, it can move the chandelier. So, that's one of the possibilities. But, if we are going to take this as, let's say, as a psychic, you will need to check the chandelier and most possible na baka yung mga previous na maintenance person is ginagalaw nila yung chandelier that time. When I say previous, mga...
The one who's passed na.
Yes.
As a paranormal investigator, and you've been at this for more than 20 years already, what's the goal exactly when dealing with souls who are still there? Ano po yung hangarin po ninyo when you investigate?
Number one, always to find the truth. Why are you still hunting? Why are you still here? And then the next one is, how can I help you? Like, what can I do to help you, to make you cross over or something? So that is the two main goals.
You really talk to them?
Yes, I do.
How do you do that?
You're just like talking to a normal person. Ganun lang siya. It's simple, it's basic. But you have to show them respect. Because if you don't, there's a possibility na mawawala na lang siya.
Bakit sila madalas nandito pa? And are all spirits who are still here within this realm unsettled? Have unsettled business?
Actually, that is the common reason. Unsettled business, unfinished business. But most of the time, based on my experience for 20 years, mas madalas yung hindi nila alam na wala na sila.
I was gonna ask. Clyde, what do you do? I mean, obviously, may mga unfinished business. Yung iba hindi pa nila alam, hindi sila aware. For them to cross over, meron ba kayong mga ginagawa also to help the souls?
To help the souls, first you have to find or look for the reason why are they still here. So most probably merong isang dito na papasok yung other supernatural entities like elementals or let's say for example demons. There's a probability na hawak sila nitong mga to. Like they are trapped. and they are going to ask for help for like us. So paranormal investigator, if we need a help from a supernatural, I am going to call the group to help me out with that.
Clyde, I'm sure marami ka na nahawakan na cases. But which one really stands out sa'yo?
The first exorcism case, this is from Cagayan, Bali. And I've been working with a priest that time and also a medical practitioner. And what happened is we cannot take out the spirit. It was not a successful exorcism that time. So the patient died.
So yung na-possess eventually died. That's what
Yes.
you're saying.
Are there good spirits? I mean, those who, kasi parang sinasabi, oh, bait yung multo na yan kasi ganyan-ganyan.
Right.
Protektahan ka, sinasabayan ka. Meron bang
Kabantay
ganun?
lang, oo.
Classification of good and bad, it depends what this spirit can do. Because there are some spirits na they are going to kill just to protect you. We cannot call that as a good spirit.
Wait, how can they harm us physically?
For when we are talking about spirits and human, they can harm you physically by distorting your psychological.
Pumapasok sa mind.
Yes. Possible na sabihin na natin na lutang ka, tumawid ka ng kalsada, masasagasaan ka. Or mahuhulog ka sa kung ano na hindi mo alam.
Clyde, may mga narinig ako, they're saying that, because spirits kind of like are attracted to frequencies, energies. We're in a studio. Dito ba merong nararamdaman ka ba?
Well, not to scare you guys, but
Naku, ito na.
pagpasok pa lang, si Kuya Guard, dalawa na sila.
Si Kuya talaga yun.
Wait.
Now, I have to identify kung itong isang guard ba na to is gwardiya ba talaga rito? Because he is wearing a different uniform.
Saang entrance ka dumaan?
Maiwasan.
Saan sa entrance?
Dito sa may main gate,
Dito sa may lobby?
yes, sa lobby.
Yung may babaeng guard na nakaano? Saan doon sa harapan niya?
Katabi niya.
Katabi niya? Wait.
Singit ko na lang
Yun, yung
This is
pusa.
amongst us, been working here in Mandaluyong for many years. Yung basement namin, sabi nila every so often may may
Nagpaparamdam.
bata daw na tumatawid or naglalakad-lakad. Ako, I experienced this very, lalo nung pandemic na konti lang yung pumapasok. I was backing and the car has, ano ba yung
Sensor.
sensor. So matras ako, ang layo, wala naman akong tatamaan at all. Kasi wala ring ibang sasakyan.
And nag-aalarm.
Turog, boom, 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 talaga malakas. Well, you know what I did? Because that's a advice from my mom. I stopped kasi sinasabi na nila may bata doon. And then I stopped and just said, please tabi. Parang sa isip ko lang, please tabi ka kasi baka matamaan kita.
That would work.
Papark lang ako. I kid you not. Umatras, nirelease ko ulit, umatras. Wala na, okay na yung
So,
sensor.
parang kinausap mo lang.
Ano
Yeah, but
basement
in my
yan?
mind, in basement 2.
Hindi ako abot doon.
But in my mind, kasi turo yun ng, that's what my parents would tell me, especially when we moved to
How
new
about
houses
their
and stuff.
newsroom? Outside?
The outside.
The outside.
Well, I can't tell kasi according to our research din kasi, for every 200 persons na makakasalubong mo everyday, most probably one of them are not real.
Meron
They are ghosts.
Dito naman po sa sa studio namin ngayon.
Sa studio,
Denise.
let's just say meron ako dito nakitang 4.
Okay.
Apat.
And they are watching right now.
Okay. Okay.
Huwag mo na ito, ha?
Ilan ba kayo? 1, 2?
Balikan ko yung sinabi mo kanina, yung sa guard na nakita mo sa labas. Yung difference nung itsura nila, gaano ka, if you can paint us a picture?
Actually, you can tell the difference which one of them is the true security guard. Because they are like welcoming you with a warm smile and everything. So, ang sa akin lang that time, hindi ikaw dapat nandito. So, what are you doing?
I see.
parang ang lumalabas is binabantay niya din tong building na to. And he also, sabihin ko na lang na na-disgrasya na security guard before. So yun siya.
Okay, well, you know, we're talking about this, may natatakot, may parang natatawa na hindi natin malaman or baka tinatago lang ito. But what should we do when we experience something every so often? Ano bang tamang approach? Kasi meron din sinasabi, lalo kang matakot, lalo kang tatakutin. Is that even true?
This kind of ghost, or let's say this kind of spirits or entity, they feed on the negative energy. So kapag katakot ka, you are creating a negative energy.
Right.
Kapag ka malungkot ka, umiiyak, etc.
Paggalit din.
Paggalit, that's a negative energy.
But happy lang.
So, the more na meron ka nun sa katawan mo, the more nalalapit sila sa'yo.
May nagtatanong po pinipilit talaga po nila kasi wala sila dito, hindi namin kasama ngayon. Yung 4 daw po na nakita nyo dito sa studio, maaari nyo bang ma-describe ilang taon na, babae, lalaki, anong itsura?
Okay, let's start dun sa entrance ng studio. There is this guy, lalaki siya. I think he is on 20s, late 20s ng age. And then there is this girl na nandun kanina malapit sa inupuan namin, which is around 35 something. And etong isa is, hindi ko sasabihin kung nasan siya.
Huwag mo na sabihin kung saan.
Pero
Nangya kayo, nandiyan kayo sa taas.
girl siya na
Okay.
na sinasabi niya sa akin na sinasabi niya na nasa 22 lang daw siya. And then kung okay lang daw ba na mag-stay, etc. And then itong isa is bata siya na nandun sa pinakadulo, which is kung saan hindi nagpupunta yung staff.
Okay. Okay, yun nga, may sinabi nga daw may bata nga daw dito. Oo, tsaka dun sa kabila meron.
Tabi tayong konti.
Bilis na.
Tabi tayong konti.
Riza na dyan sa tabi mo. Well, anyway, just, to protect ourselves, yes, bukod dun sa pagiging positibo, ano pa ang pwede naming gawin? For those who don't want to see and want to
Experience yung
feel
mga
feel
ganito.
some sort of protection.
Protection always is knowledge. Kasi, like I've always saying sa mga estudyante ko, ang tao natatakot sa mga bagay na hindi niya naiintindihan or hindi niya nalalaman. So once na alam mo yan, hindi ka na makakaramdam ng takot. At alam mo na kung paano siya iiwasan.
Hindi faith.
Faith is still there, pero kasi kulang yung faith kung faith lang. Like sinasabi nila, faith without action is dead. So you have to do more than faith. Like, okay, sige, naniniwala ako, ipoprotect ako ng God na pinaniniwalaan ko. But the thing is, sasabihin sa'yo ng God na pinaniniwalaan mo, paano kita poprotektahan kung wala ka naman din ginagawa? Hindi naman pwedeng ako yung bababa dyan tapos tutulungan kita. I have given you all the power na kailangan ninyo para mabuhay kayo, mag-exist kayo at alagaan ninyo yung creation ko. Ginawa ko kayo, kawangis ko kayo. So gamitin ninyo lahat yan. Gamitin nyo lahat ng knowledge, capabilities, and use it wisely.
All right, wise words to end our eerie night. Thank you so much for joining us, Paranormal Investigator Clyde Tasipit.
And that is it for the show tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Okay pa ba kayo?
Sabay tayo lalabas.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a good night.